you will be able to say you saw it live right here. No one else but you. Come on in here, joinraylive.com. We have a wonderful thing planned for you here. We've got an amazing guest sitting in the green room, just waiting, chomping at the bit to get out here and be with you folks right here. We've got, Cartman sitting on the wall here being smashed in the head by a rock. I've got things growing in from outside. I've got a shirt that's too busy for busyness. So let's do this thing. We've got Elaine Lung sitting in the back, waiting to come in. Let's bring her out right now. Hello, Elaine.
Well, hey there, Ray and internet world.
It is an unbelievable opportunity to have the mastery that is Elaine here with us, and she is an improv expert. If you'd like to join us right there, get in here now, joinraylive.com. We're going to talk about improving your presentations. We'll talk about improving sales all through the use of improv. And what do you think when we talk about improv, Elaine? What are the basic blocks that people would need to know if they go, I don't know anything about improv? Where would you start them?
Right. Oh, that's a great question, Ray, because a lot of people think it's magic. It's not. It's a muscle you can build. It's a skill you can acquire. And you and I know this because we've been through that training. So when I do my workshops with groups, and they're, you have the range. You have people who've gone to a show. You have people who've taken a class, all the way down to improv. What's that? So there's 3 areas that I focus them on. It's what you think, your mindset, what you can do for yourself, what you can control to help yourself, and finally, how you can help other people. So if you think about that, those 3 areas, the first tip is mindset, and I call that yes and. You've heard of yes and. A yes and is the way to approach a situation and say, yes, I'm here, and be fully present in that moment. Not on your phone, but be fully present. You're about to ask a question, so please do.
Well, from a leadership standpoint, the way to turn an entire group around, I used to be the fixer, and I would go into places and fix sales, and you get a room full of people that resented you coming in because they liked their old boss. They weren't selling very well, but they liked their old boss. And what you wanted to do, because I didn't want to fire everybody, I wanted people to come with me. And my belief is that people are mostly good anyway, so you just have to uncover the goodness in them. And if you went in there and said, no, but we're going to do it a new way. No, but, well, okay, but, and then you immediately get a wall built up in front of you. And what yes and does, it removes that wall. It allows you to move forward instead of what a lot of leaders do. Bad leaders repair the past. Good leaders prepare for the future. And yes and brings you closer to the future. So I just wanted to, it's like I put in the post today, it's the closest thing to Bruce Lee's version of Be Like Water.
Yeah. And, water is very powerful. I think you've also said that too. And it's subtle. We don't maybe see the power unless it's a raging river, but it also, a drip can erode a rock, right? So think about that when you come to yes and. I'm glad you made this analogy, Ray, because it's something you can do to change a situation without necessarily letting the other person know you're doing it, but it changes the way you approach the situation. And believe it or not, that changes them and how they respond to you. So it's extremely powerful for that reason. It's simple and powerful. So the yes part gets you present with the people in the room, the situation in the room. The and part is what you can do to move the situation forward to the goal that you both have, hopefully, or that you have about it.
It's an incredible moving forward process. I believe the Grand Canyon was formed by water.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
That's the power of water over time. And if you, from a sales standpoint, if you can yes and find another way to connect, that dripping process on them breaks down their resistance. And then you're in the middle of what I call the location close, meaning you're top of mind. You're the first person they call because you kept dripping, So yes, right. Powerful, powerful tool. Oh my God, what a great thing to start with. What else we got, Elaine? What's that?
Right. And just before we wrap too, on
Yeah.
the yes and, taking it into a conversation where you feel an adversarial person. So a difficult conversation where something where you have to convince your boss of something, or they're going to um, come at you with a different perspective. Taking yes and thinking about how that other person is yes anding what they say, uh, not explicitly, but in silently, and then thinking about how you can address what they're saying, if you will. That's being fully present and anding, if you will, what they're saying so that you can add what you have to move it forward. So it's a way to spiral things up to solutions.
Well,
So
one of the
it's really powerful.
powerful ways. So yes, and does not have to be 100% said as yes, and.
Correct.
An example from my world is when people always think that, well, basically there's one objection on the planet. And what that is the words that you said didn't produce the value that this person wants to pay. So there's some sort of difference in that. And what you have to do is validate their difference and create better value. So when
Mhm.
they say, well, your prices are too high, what happens when you say, no, they're not? Well, now we've got a standoff, right?
Yeah.
If you say, of course they're high, what would you expect for something of that much quality where I can give that much attention to you?
Mhm. Yeah. What are they going to say then?
And that's
Oh,
another version of yes and. That's a
there you
sales
go.
version of yes and.
Mhm.
And everything that you have with yes and, can I have another cookie? Yes, and then you're going right out. Yes, and right after you take the garbage out, you can have another cookie. Now we're getting stuff done. We're using it to influence, and there's so many different ways to take it. It's such an exciting topic. Can you tell I'm excited, Elaine? Oh,
Yeah, it is. People gloss over it. Oh, yes, and no problem. What's next, right? But it is probably the most significant thing that anyone on this call, you and I, can do today, as soon as the call's over, with whoever we're coming at, whatever situation we're in. To
and
yes, and it.
the other side of that is people say, "Oh, I've heard that before."
Right. Exactly.
Well, when they've done a study, I believe they've actually named it. It's called the von Rostov effect. I believe Ed Tate told me that years ago. If you've heard something before, there's a 97% chance that you haven't acted on it. So when you hear something, oh, I've heard that before, the first question I would offer for you is, have you heard it? Have you acted on it? You've heard it before. Have you acted on it?
Nice.
Eating kale is good for you. I've heard that before. I'm not acting on that one. Yeah. Kale, basically part of self-discipline is tricking yourself into doing what's right for you. And I had a 93-year-old man tell me, yeah, skinny people have tricked themselves to believe that kale tastes good. And he smiled, looked at me and said, you probably like donuts. So what do we got after yes and?
Yes. Yes, I like donuts. And all right. So off the donuts topic, the next one is, this is also something that you or I, anyone in a situation, have control over. And again, this is a great one. Yes, I've heard this before. And have you acted on it? Listening.
Hmm.
And when I'm saying listening, there's these improv games where you listen all the way to the end of a sentence before you can respond. It's where you listen so deeply you could you can exactly name all the characteristics that they said of the person they attributed you in the scene, where you're able to repeat the details as if your life depended on it. That kind of deep listening, it's more than just saying, oh, I hear you, okay, and then waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being able to connect on that deep level by letting them know you heard everything, and then you yes and it, which is what allows improv to build a scene and move it forward. So listening, catching those details, and showing that deep connection, that changes how people respond to you too, and builds relationship and connection with you and your audience.
And one of the things I think it really does. So what and I think this is especially a guy problem. They'll hear the problem. I can solve it. I can solve it. Oh, shut up. answer. I got the answer. And it's not about solving problems. It's about continuing the conversation. Listening along with yes and, it may not solve that problem, but what you're doing, because a lot of times people don't, when they share the problem, whatever it is with you, they're not really sharing the problem. They're sharing the symptoms of it. So with yes and listening, then you can really get to continue the conversation long enough to get to the bottom. So then real progress is made. And I think that's such a valuable thing to do. Yes, but interrupts. Or no, but I mean, not. I made it even more positive. Right?
Well, yes, but is the equivalent of saying, you just said it.
Yeah.
No, it's
no.
the equivalent of no. And we hear that most of the time in our days.
I believe it was Jack Canfield was talking about this study one time that this kid heard no so often, he thought his name was Noah.
Noah.
Little kid in Iowa. Noah from
Iowa. I just was thinking, I may have said this wrong. Yes, but equals no. And I think you said no, but, right? So we're in improv, it turns the world on life on its head by having people say yes and to you. And then you can see where things can go, because so often we're told yes, but, and we hear the yes and the but is all about what's wrong with the idea, why it won't work, why it won't be accepted, why we've tried it before, why we don't have budget. And it's just excuse to block you. So yes and is the opposite of yes but.
What if you really want to say no?
That. If you really want to say no, you should say it. And so give us a situation, let's walk through it, just so we could, because I could think of 6 different things. So let's walk through it.
I got a couple in my mind that
all right.
I don't know if I could give you that question that would be a definite no. But
all right. How about I'm in an organization and we're always looking for new members. That's kind of a sales situation. Would you like to investigate that one first? And let's try get that one off the ground, or do you want to go more salesy?
We could take an organization. Okay, more members. It could be any organization.com, right?
Any. And you're thinking, hey, would you like to join? And they're yes, but I don't have time. Or yes, but I'm in a lot of other situations and I just don't think I can dedicate the time this organization needs.
So if you didn't want to join, and I said, and would you like to join?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want to join, you'd say no, right? How do you yes and that and keep that conversation going?
Right.
I have an idea.
I'd find out what they're looking for, why they came in the first place to check it out.
Yes,
and what they're looking for.
Sure, it's what I really need.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And yes. Well, what are you? Great. Well, what are you looking for? What are your goals for the next 6 months here with respect to this organization to help you?
I need
to grow in the section.
I need to become president of the United States in 6 months.
Yes, I hear you. And that's is that realistic? I'd say.
Yes. What are you going to do when you get in office? Yes, and what are you going to do when you get in office?
Yes, and what are you going to do when you get in office? There you go.
Then you could go back down and pick out something that your group does that could help them get there. Now, perfect. I can't get you the votes, but I can get you closer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's all you need. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
What about unexpected events in a presentation?
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I had the one that I immediately think of is last spring. I was teaching a class, and it's of upper elementary. Okay, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Anything can happen. That's the best. You've got to be ready for anything to happen. And we had one student had a necklace and was playing with the necklace during class. And I was telling a story, and I'd like to think they were enwrapped in the story, right? And I'm about to make the point, and guess what happened? Sounded like a waterfall. And by the way, this was like plastic tabletops on a gymnasium floor, because we were, so it was like, there was no way you could ignore this. And everybody knew it happened. And I found in a moment, I knew we had to deal with this. I said, and possibly because I'm the age I am, I was like, all right, kids, everybody on the floor, grab one of these beads, right? And within, I even had it recorded, and within 2 minutes, I was back into the lesson because I all grabbed beads. They saw it as a game. We all got it into one of, a container, and we put it aside for the student to be calm that the necklace was coming back home with them, and they could put it together. And all the students were like, okay, that's done. Back to the story. So I credit improv with saying, yes, this really happened, and this is how we're going to deal with it right now. And tell me how yelling at a kid would help anything there. No, it wouldn't.
Damn
Just
you!
yes and
Your necklace.
these are kids. They're just going to do what kids do. So accepting it fully, embracing it, making part of the class, and then how do you move forward?
Well, the classic example of something like that, because not everybody talks to third, fourth, and fifth graders, right? But being present for them is huge. If you're in a meeting and a phone goes off, it could be your phone that goes off. The presenter oftentimes gets upset. Can everybody please turn off their phones?
Right.
Which makes everybody so much happier to be in the meeting. Right?
It doesn't make you look good at all.
Because nothing spells great meeting that like awkwardness, right?
Right.
And when you're in that situation, everybody in the room turns their head toward the person whose phone is ringing, further embarrassing that person. And guess who they're not listening to? The presenter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to live, and I don't know if I said this as a version of something else, or I heard somebody else say this version, you have to live in your shoes and not in your head. And your shoes are present in the meeting. Your head could be anywhere. So when something happens like that, if you're in your head thinking about, oh my God, what am I saying next? Do I remember the right lines? You miss out on those moments. And when a phone rings, to me, it's the biggest godsend in the world, because I will say something like, and there's someone calling just to say, you know what, Ray is right. You should listen to him, or some version of that. I've heard people hold my calls. I try not to do what I've heard people do 10,000 times. I try and create some different version of it. One of my favorites, I was on stage around Valentine's Day. So there are all these paper hearts on the wall behind me. And in the middle of my speech, I heard a whoosh thunk. And I knew exactly what it was. And everybody's eyes went over my shoulder. And I just said, my heart sank. And the whole place went up. So part of improv is really looking at, and it's really because improv is mistaken, because we've had Second City, we've had different versions of improv that are funny, but improv is not necessarily based on humor. It's based on the situation and the scene, and you're surviving the situation or the scene. One of humor principles that really applies in improv is people that have a great sense of humor and are spontaneously funny. They look at the logic of the words versus the logic of the ideas. So they capture every word and they're able to break it up into pieces of words that allows you to create surprise. And so when you're in that moment and you can see all the pieces around you and use those pieces to create this thing. And guess what? With practice, that's very teachable. It's not like a mysterious thing. All these things about improv, about humor, about people skills, about sales skills, they are all teachable, learnable skills. Even charisma is a teachable, learnable skill. And you just have to break it down to its components. And that's why if you've got a group and someone that really is looking for an interesting meeting to take people through, and it's great for sales teams, someone like Elaine to come out and do an improv workshop for your group. It is a fabulous, different experience that they're not used to. It's very relatable to work, sales, collaboration, teamwork, retention of members. You can tie it into everything, and that's why I love improv so much.
Yeah, orientations, getting people back together after COVID, being on Zoom, off the Zoom and into the room. These are great events.
Oh, off the Zoom and into the room.
Yeah.
Let's work together on that. That's cool.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. I'm doing a lot of that right now for a certain organization I'm in, and it works great.
Yeah, and it's okay for you to plug organizations while you're here.
Yeah. Okay. It's Toastmasters, and just getting any volunteer organization back off of Zoom together again. That's where the magic happens. The best conversations, I'm sorry, are in the parking lot after the meeting. So how can we get that back and get people attracted back? And improv is a great hook. Absolutely.
Improv's a fantastic hook. It's how do you engage people with, and one thing that Toastmasters does not do well is bringing guests to their events. And they can bring people to the events, but to make them feel welcome is a struggle in a lot of Toastmasters, because I've also spoken to a lot of Toastmasters clubs, coached a lot of district champions along the way, and been one myself. And it's bringing people in, because what they do is they'll say, they'll bring somebody in, they'll ask them questions right away. And the questions they ask right away, they don't tell them that they're going to ask questions. So all of a sudden, oh my God, what are you doing? I came here because I'm confused about speaking in public and I'm afraid. And I say, people come at the intersection of like overwhelm and confusion. That's when they walk into a Toastmasters meeting. If they're right at the edge, they're like the Jack in the Box, right there. That's when they walk in that room. And then you show them, oh Lord, we're going to have you speak. And so say, well, why Toastmasters? Tell us about yourself and why you came into Toastmasters. Always the same conversation. Toastmaster leaders in your club, the presidents in charge of this, know the members of your club and what their strengths and weaknesses are. And when someone new comes into your room, this is becoming a Toastmaster lesson right here. When someone comes into your room, ask them, why Toastmasters? Why now? Those two simple questions. And you'll get the same answer with, I've heard of you guys before, thought about it for a while, but then they'll tell you specifically why now. They'll tell you specifically why they're there. The next thing to do is refer them to a member in your club that can handle that situation. So in our club, there's two people that coach people professionally. There's a woman that is so scared to death that she fainted when she started, and now she's comfortable in front of people. So refer them to that person before they leave, because guess what? What overwhelm is real simple. It's people have lost hope. And how do you get hope back? You show somebody the next step. And if they walk into your room overwhelmed and you show them the next step, talk to Ray. He does this professionally. Talk to Lauren. She used to have the same problem as you. I just gave you hope. And when you have hope, you follow. And that's how you get clients here. Sorry, that was a rant. I just went on a rant there for a second, Elaine.
That's great. That's what this is about. This is the Ray Rant Show. Yeah. But, and by the way, replace Toastmasters with any volunteer organization.
Yeah.
Rotary, I would say a faith-based group, anything where you're trying to get new members. If you make that kind of connection, it'll transform the way they see your group and their experience there.
And the thing about connections, you really think about improv, connections is the fastest way to do it, because what you don't want to do is do the same old thing that people have heard again and again and again. You want to be acceptably unusual, and then you become attractive to people. Go, really, tell me more, because that's what friends do. They come in and they will just start talking to you, and you feel comfortable right away. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes, where if you ask these questions like, oh, how are you today? It's so, the weather is so nice. It's so hot out here in Northern California.
You're saying yes, but are you really moving the situation forward? The anding there. You're just stating a fact. Yay, what can I do with that? But how can you, why Toastmasters, why now? Oh, you're moving the situation forward. And then you're contributing with who can help. You're totally yes-anding it and moving it toward the goal. The goal is, hey, you need to be part of our group. We're the best, or we're what you need. We're, without being really pushy or salesy at all. And you're listening. You're listening for what they're saying.
Yeah. Yes. And
Mhm.
the key thing is you need the and with the yes. That's what you just pointed out there, which is, I've never really thought about that before, but that's why you're the improv expert and I just do what I do. And it's an amazing combination when you put those things together, the power of it.
Mhm.
What are some other great
All
improv
right. Well,
principles?
we are moving towards the third one, and we've been dancing around it the whole time. I think the last example you had about why Toastmasters, why now? Why this organization, why now? It's making your partner look good.
Mm.
Make your partner look good. So we talked about it a little bit before. How can you yes and a situation like a job interview instead of walking in going, oh, you have what I need. I'm just down here. But instead of walking in more on an equal saying, I know what I got. Yes, I'm here and I have a lot to offer. Yes, you're there. You are interviewing me. Do I want this job? Do you want me? Right? More of an equal footing. You're yes anding it, but you're also looking at the other person not as an adversary, but as a partner in creating the scene together to move it toward the goal. So, how can you make your partner look good? How can you walk in an interview and make your partner look good? You treat them respectfully, of course. How would you play along in the scene? You're prepared. You've got your questions to ask them. You're ready to go. You're making your partner look good is about how to set them up to feel good about what they're doing in the scenes, to be successful in the scene, so that you can play together and make the scene work for the audience. Because ultimately in improv, you're there to entertain the audience or with drama or humor, whatever comes out. But it's about making your partner look good and setting them up with the easy, logical next step so that they can play back with you. Kind of like a nice and easy tennis volley back and forth to create the scene together.
And I think one of the other misconceptions about improv is it's something that is just being created that moment. And what it really is the art of creating organized chaos. And what I mean by that, and it's applicable to business, it's applicable to friendships, it's applicable to everything. When I was a fixer, I went into places and I hired people and I had to replace people or just enhance so I'd get stacks of resumes. And I was flipping through them one time and I was like, oh God. And there was one as I flipped through it that caught my eye. And at the bottom of the resume, I stopped and I got to find that one. And I found it. And the last line, because the most interesting in the resume is always on the last part. And it said, has been to the Arctic on a polar bear hunting expedition. I didn't look at the name. I didn't look at the qualifications. I didn't look. I handed it to somebody, said, book me a time with the polar bear person. And I wanted to talk to the polar bear person. And that guy didn't get the job, but I talked to him. He got an interview. And then I thought, oh my Lord, how brilliant is that? Because it was slightly darker ink than the rest of the ink. And it was near the bottom where all the interesting stuff is. And after that, if I ever had to apply for a job or send something out, I did the same thing with things that I've done that people would go, oh, let's talk to this person. And the good thing about it is you can take these moments and in an interview, wouldn't it be great to know the first question?
So tell me about the Arctic, right?
I knew the first question in every interview that I was going into. And
it was that last line?
Well, I former contributing writer to The Tonight Show, winner of numerous comedy competitions. Wow, you did. Tell me about that. So, gee, do I have any stories that make me look good about doing that? You bet I do. So in the first minute and a half, I've already engaged, got people to laugh, which is the biggest secret weapon of all, and have them on my side, hoping that I have the qualifications for this job. That is the secret sauce right there. You are creating known chaos for you to come out ahead with. If I know what you're going to say, I can plan on it. Mm-hmm. If I know how you react, I can plan on it.
And you found out you always have something. You never have nothing. Never. So many times you walk in, oh, my mind's blank. Oh, I don't know. You always have something. And even if improvisers sometimes look around the room and they grab the first idea that pops in front of them. You always have something. It's around you. So in your life, your experience, your education, where you've been, who you know. You always have something. And you went and found something of interest and put it at the bottom. And it's a little hook that a little gift to the person who, and like, here, play with this. All right, I'll play with that. And boom, you had that much of an edge now in the interview. It's beautiful.
And these gifts, so if you look at, just because we all do a lot of these Zoom meetings, right? And when you come on, your friends, when they come on a Zoom meeting, do not say, hello, Elaine, how are you today? They will say something from your past, something about it. And if you look in the background, like with Elaine, it'd be, wow, look at those trophies. And then all of a sudden, she now has to talk about the trophies that she has.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting the conversation just like a friend would start a conversation. So she does not have a wall up in front of her. She's talking about something that she knows, and obviously she's interested in, because she put the trophies in the background so they would be impressive, that because she's a great speaker and she has earned these trophies, right? What do I got? I got Cartman. I got Cartman getting hit in the head with a rock, but you have to see Cartman in it, and it's just something you can talk for. My shirt says talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this means, but it's anytime you see somebody and they're wearing something loud or wearing something that sticks out, they're wearing that because they're okay with you noticing that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say something, like if you go to somebody and say, nice shoes, you will always get an answer, oh, thank you. And you get one of two answers, really. Who made them, or where they got them and how much they cost.
Yep.
It's like, these Jimmy Choo, or these $6 Walmart,
Right.
These $2.50 Temu, whatever it is. But I know how they're going to respond. And I know that I'm not in a negative light when I start a conversation that way. So that's using pre-yes and. What would we call that? I like that.
I would say you're setting your partner up for success by giving them a little gift to work with. And what you just described something that works great with like networking experiences. So, hey, introvert right here. Oh my gosh, I have to walk in and talk to people, right? Good. Set yourself a limit of 10. So you're calm and you get through 10 and get out of there. I'm just going to meet 10 people. I'm going to leave, whatever that takes. But when you walk in, set yourself up. Hey, what can you wear that people might compliment you on? These pin on your badge, put it upside down, or put something on it that, is associated with your brand. Some people wear shirts of a certain color or whatever. But, what can you walk in and give as a gift? Like you said, the loud clothing, all right, maybe not loud clothing, but a hat. A certain speaker, Patricia Fripp, wears a hat. What can you wear? And then walk in and just look like you're ready to talk to people. That's a gift you're giving to people to come and engage you with small talk at a networking event or a party or some such thing. That's making your partner look good by giving them that little gift and then being ready to engage them when they do engage you.
And one of the key things in your business is you want to work with people that you want to work with. So you want to attract the people that are like you in a lot of ways. And sometimes that's great. Sometimes it's not so great. But you gave me a great idea to walk in a networking event and say, introvert, I'm talking to 3 people and I'm gone. Who wouldn't want to talk to that person?
Quick, I want to be one.
I'm talking to 3 people and I'm gone. Help me out.
Maybe you could put that on your name badge, introvert, and little hashtags, when I reach 10, I'm out. They'll be looking at your man.
And those are some great things that introverts
That's funny.
Do. So you would start, I think you would start that with like a name badge. Introvert, I talk to 3 people and I'm out. Because people read those badges and they do look at it. And it's like, oh my God, that is fantastic.
And in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of introverts. So they'll probably laugh and engage on that.
And one of my first products was a way for them to talk to people. And I said, for all you people that love your ones and zeros, but hate the human interaction that goes with it, here's what what you're gonna do today.
Nice.
That's the people are afraid of uncertainty, but when you do moments like that, and throw that out there, even if it's silent with that name badge. I think that would be fantastic. You would meet so many people with that. They'd come up to you. Now, if that drives you crazy, guess what? You're going to have to hire somebody to do stuff like that for you if it really, really drives you crazy. Just be the force behind the idea and then let other people sell it for you. Because there's too many people that try and sell this great idea, but they don't have the skills to do it. And I've seen so many pitches for products that are so boring and product driven, and they're data driven, and they don't tell the story behind what the data means and the emotion behind that and what they can do with it.
Yeah.
Watch Shark Tank, for God's sake. Shark Tank, that you have to know your numbers and what your products do, but more often than not, the sharks invest in the people behind the products, or they don't invest in people that have great products with great numbers because they don't like the people.
Mm-hmm.
So to be an entrepreneur, 3 huge things. You need to understand your native genius. You need to understand how to communicate in so many different ways that they celebrate with balloons. And you need to understand people skills. And that's an hour keynote right there talking about those 3 things. But the value that you bring is not in the product you provide. It's in the result of what those people get out there. And improv helps you get there.
And the relationships too. You were talking about building relationships, and how can you do that? Improv helps you with that. Because it's just one of my mentors yesterday was talking to me. He's like, I've been in this business for 20 years, whatever, 30 years, and I didn't pay much attention to relationships, and now I am, and I see the difference. So why wait that long? Start now to build relationships and connection, putting yourself out there. It is risky, right? You got to take the risk to put the badge on to walk through the networking event. But, that's also part of it. Create and test, because improv teaches you to try. And if it goes great, yay. And if it goes terrible, yay. Because both times it's done, it's over. Improv's, and then you're on to the next scene. It teaches you to take the risk, take the lesson, and move forward.
I worked with an improv group for a week. I was their opening act. And one of the things they said every night was, we don't care if it's funny, because if you don't laugh, it's art, and you don't necessarily have to laugh at art. These things are so important that you are able to adjust on the fly. And the human relationships, I think it's Jeffrey Gitomer says that people will buy from their friends when they buy. And if their friends aren't available, they buy from their friends. So how are you creating that? How are you creating that connection? You have to create the connection before you can build rapport. And that's a big missing link. And improv is a huge part of getting you across that barrier from stranger to rapport. And that's a gap that's missing, I'd say, in 95% of entrepreneurs that I see. And it's not easy, but it's a simple process to create that. Getting people back in touch with each other is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Building those relationships. And it takes time, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And why wait? Start now.
So we got a couple minutes left here, Elaine. Let's give them some final thoughts and the things. Give them the takeaways you want them to take away, and how to connect with you and everybody that's watching this afterward. If you put comments in the chat, I get them. I can pass them on to Elaine. You can have them for me. You can have them for Elaine. Love to chat with you about this. Anybody, pop on. You know where to find me. Pop on my calendar and pop up in a 15-minute conversation. We'll talk about these things. So, Elaine, take it away.
All right. Well, we touched on so much today. The 3 things to remember: the yes and mindset, most powerful thing you could do. To listen as if your life depended on it to the other person. See how the relationship with the other person changes. And finally, to make your partner look good, how can you set them up with a gift so that they connect and engage with you? Because every conversation has a goal. So why are you talking to the person? What is the goal that you have? And how can you move the situation forward toward that? Improv helps with all of that. And I know this from experience, because I am introverted, and I was the person hiding against the back wall, staring at the floor when I was in my first corporate job. And I thought, this is how They're going to see my work. It's going to speak for me. And that's how I'm going to get ahead. And sadly, after years of watching people come and go and pass me by, I learned it's not. So I got out, I learned basic public speaking skills at Toastmasters, and then I went deeper. And one of those deeper things was improv and the benefits. That's wherever you are as a speaker, if you can incorporate improv skills, the benefits are you will level up from wherever you are, better at sales, better at connection, better at building your business at a relationship building manner. And on stage as a presenter, you have better connection with your audience. So what does that mean? Better connections, I would say more confidence for you. And that equals, I think, directly translates into more money, because a confident speaker, Ray could do a whole keynote on this. People are looking for confidence in who they're engaging with as a business. They're looking for friends. They want to buy from friends. It permeates everything and levels it up. So the benefits of improv are huge.
And think about it, when you go to hire somebody, do you want to hire somebody that appears confident, or do you want to hire somebody that's polite? And that's all you see, or that is shy and meek. Now,
right.
We may be missing some things along the way, because there's one of the things about meetings is when you have meetings on a regular basis, what you're getting are the best ideas from the loudest people. So you're not necessarily getting that. So how do you take yes and create that? Well, one of the ways you can do that in meetings is send out an idea. Don't have them raise their hand and talk about it. Have them write their best ideas for a minute, then pass it on to the next person. Do not let them criticize the other idea. Take yes and add to that idea. And when you're done, if you've got 10 people to do that for 10 or 15 minutes, and you collect those things, you have the best ideas from your group, and you have some amazing ideas that nobody would have thought on their own, because you can't be creative in a vacuum. You need the value of other people. By reading down these things, they'll go, oh my God, that's fantastic. So there's a great walkaway item, using yes and in a business meeting that isn't really a yes and improv situation, but it is, because life is about improv. That's all we're talking about today. Elaine, thank you for coming out, and love to have you here, and come out on any time.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray. And I'm at ElaineLung.com. I neglected to say that.
ElaineLung.com. I didn't even have that up there, but ElaineLung.com. I'll put it in the comments so you can see it afterward. It's right down there.
.com.
That's how you spell
my
it.
name.
.com.
That's right.